Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Today we'll talk about IBM's WatsonX Assistant. So before going to WatsonX Assistant, first let's understand what is a virtual assistant basically. Basically, a virtual assistant is a software program that can help the users perform tasks, manage their schedules, answer questions, and control smart home devices through voice commands or text as well. And the most common examples of virtual assistants will include Siri, Alexa, it can be even Google Assistant. They all use artificial intelligence to basically understand and respond to any sort of user request. And another thing is that an assistant can direct requests down the optimal path very easily for solving any sort of customer problems. And in order to do so, you can also add skills so that your assistant can provide a direct answer to the common questions or to the frequently asked queries very easily. It can also provide generalized search results as well, depending upon the number of queries that it gets trained upon. The more number of requests it gets generated on the virtual assistant part, it will be able to calibrate it accordingly and then give you optimal results. Now, to understand virtual assistant a bit more, let's go for one example. Here we'll be understanding exactly how does a virtual assistant work. So it's basically summers right now in India and the heat outside is pretty much at its peak. So let's say an individual wanted to buy an AC, right? Let me point it out. So let's say this individual is me, right? And I wanted to buy an AC. And to do that, I contacted a store near the location. And now this person ordered an AC for his home, basically. He got the AC delivered very happily to his home. But initially he was really happy, but all of a sudden he saw that there's a mess. After a couple of months, the AC is not working anymore. But wait, I mean, what can be the solution to this? That's what he was thinking. And now that's where a lot of people lose their patience, and that's what happened to this person as well. So he made a call and he rang the company from which he bought the AC. It's basically a store, right? So the most obvious thing is that obviously he will ring the store, right? And it was hoping for a human to interact with it, and that's what happened initially. The human spoke to that person, the assistant or the person or the manager who was there on the other end started talking to him. And as the person started blabbering and started getting a bit heated in the discussion, the manager straight away said that, sorry, sir, this particular AC is getting delivered to us by a particular firm that builds it. So the particular technician who will try and solve the issue will be that particular company's provided engineer. So now obviously the manager, what he did is that he provided them with a toll-free number, and now here the person is stuck with the problem. So now again the person made a ring, and to his amazement, this time on the other end he didn't hear a human voice, but on the other hand he heard a voice which was pretty robotic in some ways. He could easily identify that it's not a normal human being talking to him. So in this particular case, it was a particular virtual assistant. So the virtual assistant can be of multiple types. They can receive the sort of requests, or let's say any kind of queries in the form of text as well as voice. In this particular scenario, you can see that the person was talking to the assistant on a call. So what happened is that once the person speaks to the assistant, it does the general task that a human does, but with more efficiency. So understanding the person's problems, it gives it different options. Now, most of the times on dialer pads or on your phone's dialer pad, you will see that uh, you know the particular options are given in terms of numbers. So you can click or choose any of the numbers, and that particular option will be selected, and the assistant will go on to understand the problems even more deeply. So after such few interactions where the assistant was able to gather the basic informations of AC, whether it's a split or whether it's a window AC, what's the AC's installation date, where the AC was procured from, some of this basic discussions or basic understanding it took. And then what it did is that in the behind the scenes it is connected to several APIs and other APIs as well. And what it did is that it raised a ticket, and that ticket went into the company's engineering part. So the engineering background, which takes care of the ACs and everything, they received this ticket and they were able to easily identify, okay, this is the customer whom we need to go to and basically solve their issues. So that's what happened, and that's how the entire process was very easily solved just with the help of one single assistant. And this, on a large scale, can save a lot of money, a lot of time and resource power of the companies and firms as well. And that's where virtual assistants gets its name and its, I'll say fame as well. So in day-to-day interactions, I see a lot of people, mingling with the words chatbots and virtual assistants simultaneously. So what do you think? Is it the same thing or are they different? Please do comment down. What do you think about this particular stuff? Uh, Now, yeah, let's come back to what I was saying. So the answer to this question is it's not same. They are absolutely a little bit different. Okay. Now, if I have to define what are the differences, I'll tell that the chatbot basically is designed for specific tasks like answering simple questions, providing customer support, or giving informations. And they typically follow a pre-programmed script and may have limited understanding of the context. Whereas if you talk about the virtual assistant, they are a bit advanced. They are capable of handling a wider range of tasks. And this task can also include managing schedules, setting reminders, controlling the smart devices that are around you, and even many more things. To do this thing, they utilize something called artificial intelligence to understand the process and the more complex commands, and then articulate the responses accordingly. In terms of interaction, you think if I give you a difference, then it will be like the chatbot usually interacts with users through text-based interfaces such as chat windows or websites or even messaging apps. Whereas virtual assistant on the other end can give you that same text, capabilities or features, but with an added advantage of voice assistance as well. So it makes them more versatile and in terms of how they can communicate with the users. Uh, if I talk about the scope of chatbots and virtual assistant, then chatbots basically will be like more focused on a specific domain or purpose, such as it can be a customer service, it can be sales or technical support. Virtual assistant on the other end can easily assist on a broad range of tasks, and it also often integrates itself with various services, whether you can say it can be a messaging platform, it can be I'll say a telecalling sort of a platform as well. Anything you name it, it can be deployed anywhere, wherever, either whether it is a text oriented platform or whether it is something which is subjugated to voice sort of a recording. Talking about the technology, the chatbots mostly rely on the predefined rules and scripts that I previously mentioned, whereas virtual assistant utilizes the AI capabilities of itself to learn as it progresses. So it trains from all the data that it receives, and it can optimize its responses even more. So the user interaction gets more smoother, and as and when they get more and more informations, it gets more fluid, and user are able to get their the effective responses faster than compared to what a chatbot does. The chatbot has to follow the entire script and then come to the conclusion, whereas a virtual assistant can understand the question, can understand the intent behind the question, and can seamlessly give you the responses a bit faster. uh, so now we are a little bit aware about what a virtual assistant is basically how it works, and obviously a chatbot and a virtual assistant is not the same thing. Coming to WatsonX. So a very funny thing that happened to me or a lot of people that I know in the industry was that initially when WatsonX Assistant was launched, people were thinking whether it's the same thing or whether it's a different solution, because IBM has multiple solutions within its portfolio, right? So, I mean, I'd say that IBM is like an ocean, basically. So similar thing happened here. I was a little bit confused, but uh, to my amaze, it's the same thing. The only difference with Watson X Assistant to Watson Assistant is the X factor. That's what I like to call. So Watson X is the same brand Watson X, where it is now including the generative capabilities, the generative AI capabilities that we are all hearing in the market about. So that's what Watson X is all about. Let me take you through the architecture to get a better understanding, to give you a better understanding of what exactly Watson Assistant or Watson X Assistant is all about. Sorry, I made the mistake again, but yeah, let's go through it. So basically, a user can interact with the assistant that is our WatsonX Assistant, through one or more means of integrations. As you can see, it can be third-party messaging platforms such as WhatsApp with Twilio. It can be something like Slack. It can be also Facebook Messenger and many more. Apart from this, a voice assistant can also give users access to the phone records. They can also have voice assistants, and they can analyze the recordings. At the same time, they can give responses very easily. You can also work with custom applications and integrations as and when you want, whether it's on a mobile app or whether it's on a let's say a web portal or even voice interface. Anything and everything can be taken care of by WatsonX Assistant. So another important thing is that the assistant receives user inputs a lot of times when the interface works, and it obviously it gets the inputs, right? Sometimes on the service instance as well. So to work around with this particular sort of request, what it does is that it routes the request to a dialog skill. So in the dialog skill part, what happens is that it interprets the user's input further, and then it can easily direct them to flow of the conversations as and when it goes. And now the dialogue can basically gather any information that it needs to respond to, or it can also perform a transaction on the user's behalf. Anything and everything can be done by dialog box very easily. So you can access it with the help of web interfaces or even mobile apps. And any questions that cannot be answered by a dialogue skill, uh, that the user request gives, and that can basically be sent to the search skill part that is provided over here. It can be assisted very easily. It can divert that particular question or particular query to the search skill part. And what happens in the search skill is that behind the scene, there is something called the knowledge repository, which I like to call as which IBM likes to call it as Watson Discovery. And we spoke about Watson Discovery on the previous video. So if anybody wants to know a little bit about Watson Discovery, if you want a refresh session, then you can easily look into it. So basically, it goes to the knowledge repository, which is our Watson Discovery, and then it tries to rectify or find the information from that particular repository or the knowledge box. Once it does that, it easily extracts that particular information and gives it back to the customer. So the entire process works very seamlessly. It's a very easy process. It's very simplified, because the main reason behind its simplicity is because we understand that the users might be non-technical, right? A lot of users like you, me, who might be non-technical, example, can easily utilize this tool, and it's like very limited coding is required to understand it. The coding part will be only when the integration needs to happen on a very high level, but seamlessly anyone can use it with few clicks, and by writing few adding few skill sets and action plans, you can easily run WatsonX fluently. So if I talk about WatsonX, one of the most important solutions, or I'll say demonstration videos or platforms that that IBM has offered is Lender Bank. I have also provided the link to that particular website in the chat. I'll now open that particular portal and I'll show you how easily Lender Bank's website works. So I'll give you a brief introduction of what Lender Bank is all about. So basically, Lender Bank is a fictional website, and they are trying to give the user an experience of exactly how WatsonX Assistant can work on a banking website, right? So there are a lot of banking websites and financial firms uh, who cater to a lot of customer requests. So obviously, there are so many people, so many customers or clients of that particular firm who are in touch with them, who are their day-to-day customers, who are owning bank accounts in their firms or companies, right? So now, obviously, when there are so many lakhs and lakhs or crores of people interacting on day-to-day basis, it's not easy to give responses to each one of them uh, every single day. It's not humanly possible, right? And that's where a lot of banks can now leverage Watson Assistant, virtual assistant. And I would recommend WatsonX Assistant being one of the most comprehensive, assistants out there. The reason behind it, I'll not say, but I'll show you exactly why it's so. Let me change the screen. Just give me a second. I think I'll be able to find it out. Just give me a minute. So let me search it again. whether it's popping or not. Yeah. So I have already opened the website for you. So basically, it's like a demonstration portal that a lot of new users can utilize. So if you're not having a cloud account or something, then there's a very easy to follow step guided tour. You can click over here. You can register yourself. If you're an IBM partner, then it's even a better thing. You can easily access this particular portal. Uh, for the view lender site, for this particular part, anyone and everyone can access it. You don't require a IBM ID or any sort of cloud access to do that. So once you click on it, it's like a demonstration or a fictional website, a banking portal where you can request for a loan, you can open accounts and a lot of things. So I mean, so to do all this stuff, right, you cannot is for a person who is newly coming onto this user interface or this page, it will be I will not say difficult, but it will be a tedious task for them to go through each and every tabs and understand, okay, what the website is all about. So instead, to save time, what like firms can do is that they can use a smart, intelligent virtual agents like WatsonX Assistant. So that's what happens here. There's a small pop-up over here. You can click over here, and the assistant works. It starts happening. I mean, the magic starts happening. So this particular assistant is named as Lender Assistant. So now you'll see that in the beginning itself, I mean, the assistant gives you certain options, right? To, I'll say, start the conversation, and you can click on any of this particular options. Let's say if I want to write or know more about lender, what's lender is all about, right? I have come to this particular uh, banking page for the first time, and I'm not aware much about lender. I just have heard that lender is a good banking firm. So it gives me a short, crisp intro of what lender is all about. And then it also gives me a video. I mean, you can also attach smart videos to it. So it makes the entire conversation more interesting and more, I'll say, appealing, I'll say, right? If you get my point. And let's say now I want to change the entire scenario. I want to, like, say, for example, I want to open an account. So if I just ask this particular question, so okay, it gives me what type of account would you like to open. So, you know, I can choose either of the options. Let's say I chose savings, okay, for an example. So now it gives me your account has opened, and it gives me a very seamless flow of what to expect. Okay, it to complete the process, it will ask you to do certain tasks. You can follow it. Let's say I don't want to. Let's test the assistant, right? Whether it's a good one or not. So I'll change the entire conversation and I say that I want a student loan. Let's say I'm a new graduate and or I mean a graduate who is looking for a PhD sort of a thing, right? Further studies. So what do I want it for? So it will ask me a question. Are you interested in applying the loan for? Let's say I say, okay, now I don't want to do this. I am not in search of this. I don't want to invest my money because I'm already working. Let's say I want to go for a house loan. House loan. Let's say this. Or I'll say, let's say house loan only. Let's say uh, how it is able to react. See, I wrote house loan, whereas in the website it's something mentioned as home loan. So it's able to understand the intent, and it gives me a couple of options. I mean, how is trying to articulate the entire conversation. Just see, it's so magical, right? So it's able to give you a couple of options like applying for a home loan, applying for an auto loan, or none of the above. So I see that, okay, house loan and home loan makes sense. So it's the same thing. Let's click on this. So it is again trying to make the conversation. So it understands, okay, that the user was initially interested in applying for a or opening a new account, right? So it tries to navigate itself to the previous question to get my responses, just to test or to check whether, I mean, I forgot the previous question or the previous queries that I was asking for. But I'll say no, I want to apply for a home loan. So it asked me applying for a home loan is pretty easy. So if you want to see an example of lender and Watson Assistant walking through the loan application process, ask me about calculating the monthly mortgage payments or applying for a student loan. Okay, so I can ask these, giving me some intuitive questions that I need to ask it to for it to trigger those sort of responses. So I can ask that calculate. Uh, I'll say what is the thing they have written? Okay, mortgage. Guys, the spelling wrong. Payments. It's asking me now what is the loan amount. So let's say I require $500,000 or something like that. Let's see what. Is it 500,000? No, it's not. Let's say this is what I want to apply the loan for. Now it asks me for different questions. See, it goes to a different page altogether, right? And as per my questions or queries, it will be able to respond very easily. I want the loan term to be 30 years, the maximum, right? Let's see what happens. Now it gives me a monthly payment, calculation as well. It fills I'll say the tabs on its own. It automates that task and then it gives me a response. It calculates it behind the scenes by typing it on the portal on behalf of me, and then it gives me a response and also gives me a real life experience of, okay, this is the page on which you can see on the lender banking page itself the calculations are happening, so you can be rest assured that the assistant is not making any sort of mistakes. So that is the sort of capability that WatsonX Assistant holds. And I will also show you a demonstration of exactly how you can create this entire assistant from scratch. So stay tuned for the next video. I think that's it for this particular one. I have tried to summarize you what exactly Watson Assistant is, X Assistant is, to be precise. And then we also understood exactly what a virtual assistant is all about. There is a difference between the chatbot and virtual assistant, what it is exactly. I have also spoken about that. And that's it.